Measures have been taken to ensure that the central medical stocks are continually replenished, and how they are needed. Medical supplies of all kinds and in large quantities are required at the hospitals taken over by the ICRC medical teams. To this hospital comes a constant stream of wounded and sick women, children, and old men. For many of them, it is too late, but everything must be done in an effort to save them. And save them, or try to save them, is what the French, Yugoslav, Israeli, American, and Swiss doctors and nurses do, 24 hours out of 24, combining their efforts under the sign of the Red Cross. The relief teams are working without respite, on the roads through the bush, going from base to camp and from camp to camp, distributing relief food and clothing. There are 400 to 500 camps, perhaps more. It is difficult to say exactly how many there are, for a figure for one day may not be valid for the next. Most of them are in deserted schools, long white buildings in typically pleasant African settings. But on the other side of the threshold, there is another world, a world inhabited by living skeletons, prostrate and staring vacantly. The condition of the hundreds, sometimes thousands of human derelicts must be seen to be believed. Crowding together, starving, men, women, and especially children, swollen by kwashiorkor or terribly emaciated, lie about on the bare ground. And interminable moans assail the ears at these camps, while overhead the vultures hover. The sight of these wasted, dried out, withered bodies, and of the haunting stare of these suffering children, is something never to be forgotten. And in this nightmare world, doctors and nurses bustle about, ceaselessly lavishing care, alleviating suffering, fighting against infection, to save those who still can be saved. When possible, which is seldom, as the fields have been left uncultivated and there is nothing to harvest, yams and manioc, the staple diet, are purchased locally. And then the inmates of the camps and the inhabitants of the villages set to work with a will preparing these local foods. The food which really enables them to survive, however, is the porridge and milk, which is distributed throughout the day by the ICRC teams, assisted by volunteer workers from the Biafran Red Cross. And every day the same thing, with the refugees eager for this meager repast. And wherever it is distributed, regularly, their condition is improving, and life is slowly being revived. And so the teams carry on day after day in all weather, in the stifling heat or tropical rain, distributing to the thousands in the camps, organizing so that all receive equal shares. Eager hands are outstretched for a portion of dried fish, for a drink of milk, or just to say thank you to the volunteer workers who must suffer their bitter frustration at being able to do no more than dole out a little fish and a drink of milk. What counts is that every day these children be given at least enough to sustain them, not only until the war comes to an end, but until they can know peace and the joy of life again. But for now, there is still so much to be done.